Did it work? Are we in?
Hopefully.
I hope I
see.
haven't caused some sort of mass calamity again with the getting things ready, but I
Yeah, I
think
would
it's
say
good.
how do we do, chat? We good?
For
Did we
once, I
make
didn't
it?
blow up everything. Tony is a bit loud and echoey. Okay, let me turn.
Got it.
How's this doing? Hold on.
Sorry,
Is this anything? Can you hear Tony now? Say some stuff, Tony.
Say some stuff, Tony.
Good. How
How's it
are we
now?
doing, guys?
Is that good, folks? We good?
Okay, that's it.
All
That solved
right.
it. For some reason, it's
Perfect.
coming through my aux. Okay, hi.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody. I
everyone.
would like to say, for the record, this is we're Team Plus is on time as far as our typical streams. We did pretty good today. I think 7 minutes after 8. I'm gonna applaud us here. I think that's. What do you think, chat? Better this time?
Well, this time there were no tech malfunctions behind the scenes because I did everything in advance for once. So,
Thank you for doing so. Super nice.
yeah.
We'll be exploring potentially other avenues for streaming later. We got we got everything done, and then Derry was like, we could do TikTok and YouTube, and I was like, oh wow, should we try? But a few more steps at the finish line turns out to make that kind of happen. But but
I guess you can't just do things last minute and hope for it to work out. So,
yeah,
anyway.
usually that works for us. But yeah, anyway, so welcome everybody.
Hi, all.
We're gonna be talking about some stuff today. Derry, I mean, what do you wanna? I think we have a list. What do you think we should be talking about
Let
today?
me see. We have plenty to go through for a
Okay.
quick kind of like early teaser on what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about oracles. We'll be talking about alchemists, shining kingdoms, adventures, a mysterious thing that we'll talk about later, and plenty of other stuff. So that'll be exciting. I hope you're all ready to rumble.
Yeah, that's normally the vibe. We like to start with we start with the past, we hit the present, and then we hit the future. So, talking about like where we've been, it's been a very busy year. Those of us, I mean, when was our last stream, Derry? It's hard to remember.
It was July.
July.
It was
Wow.
before Magic Plus had come out.
Yeah,
Uh,
which was I mean, what a big book for us to release, not gonna lie. That was a hurdle for
yeah.
sure. Very tough.
I mean, I'm very pleased with how it came out. It was definitely probably the most work we've ever done on a book. That was
I guaranteed, I think. I don't even know if you could argue. Like it
yeah.
has to be. That was a lot of work we put in for that one. Worth it, but
Oh yeah, absolutely
definitely.
worth it. But it was the build up to it was Herculean to put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily, Fan Plus came in clutch as well. Like it didn't go unnoticed. I mean, it was
Oh
it was
my
our
god.
easily our most successful book.
Like
Like it
ever.
was, yeah, ever is a good. I mean, and we're reluctant to always throw out that because every time I feel like we do a really good job with our releases, but it's hard to argue with the results. It has done very well. We're very grateful for everybody that came to support us on that, and the new people that came in maybe with Magic Plus's launch because I think some people tried us out after that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we are starting with Magic Plus. That wasn't on the agenda, but it's a good place to start, I think.
Yeah, I think
Is
I didn't mean to necessarily dive us there, but you brought
I mean
up July, and I was like, oh,
I mean,
it's
you
been
can't
that long,
like
so
it was definitely like being able to now see, you know, I guess like 6 months later how it looks to have Magic Plus out there. I definitely think it was one of the best books we've ever put out. I'm really fond of basically every single section in it. I don't think there's a single part of it where I'm like, we could have done better because we couldn't have. We did amazing, and I'm delighted with it. And of course, our
yeah.
amazing authors.
Oh, they did incredible. Everybody brought it. couldn't be more appreciative of, Bright, Josh, Linda, Mark, even, Mike Sayer, what managed to do the Mythic Path for us.
Hmm.
And then I felt like we kind of brought it as well. I do think that when we started the aspect system, like I don't know that we quite expected it would evolve into what it ended up being, but it was like once it started to take shape, we could not take it the rest of the way. And
Mm.
you shouldered a lot of that burden. I think
You had to
you
pull me
were
back after a certain point, being like, "That's too much.
I
We've got enough.
did.
We've got enough."
Well, you always make a good case for like making sure all
Hmm.
of the different narratives are covered. So we really needed to be able to have all of the aspects in that
Hmm.
book, I think, to get all of the summoning that we could get in the forms as well.
Hmm.
And we managed to find to squeeze some nice sweet spots to get like beasts in with
Hmm.
thirst and then giant married together.
We were
So
briefly
this is a really
considering
cool idea.
having a summon folk and a folk form spell, which would have
Yeah,
been interesting. And that's, I think, the single
it would
thing
have
I'm
been.
like, that would have been nice. But at this point, it was already such a huge book, and we didn't have time to
Yeah.
go through every single thing. So it'll do, but maybe one day, maybe one day.
Yeah, and it's always nice for us to leave some of the legwork still in those systems so that anybody else that wants to dive in and try to make their own homebrew with stuff that we work on and put it out there themselves. We
Hmm.
highly encourage that. And it's always very cool to see what people take from our work and build on it and make it their own. So,
Hmm. Um,
but sorry, go
I was
ahead.
also gonna. I think we were on the same page of being like, and also, it wasn't the only book we
Yeah,
suffered through that year.
oh my goodness. I will say that I mean, like every Classes Plus, but in every remaster, I'm always really excited towards the end, even if
Hmm.
I'm feeling super rough in the beginning, because
Mm.
with the Oracles Plus remaster, which is I'm sure what you were alluding to, Derry, it was I mean, beginning it was like, how do we make everyone happy? People that like old Oracle, people that like new Oracle. Like what do we do? How do we split the hair? How do we make sure that we're trying to accommodate everybody that likes Oracle? And it seemed pretty difficult, but I feel like we did as I'm proud with how we did. I
Oh yeah.
think I think we straddled that line really well. Um, a lot of real big flavor boosts in that, and you
Hmm.
managed to come up with some really strong. Um, Derry, you pushed us to come up with bring some new mysteries to the table because we not only we dropped blight or
Hmm.
we had it previously as plague because Paizo had introduced blight, but we also introduced some new ones, and I really liked some of those. I thought they were just really really cool. Um, Bringing in Shadow Forest was another one
Hmm.
that got brought in, and I think your idea for Revelry
Hmm.
was, I mean, that one to me just really hits. Like I really
I'm
like that
so fond
that
of
mystery.
Revelry. It was really. I'm really pleased with how it worked out. It was definitely. I think this and Magic Plus were the two most daunting books we ever worked on, because I remember us opening Magic Oracles Plus, the original like pre-master version, and getting ready to do the remastering process. Opening it up, looking inside, and going, "Oh God, there's not
Yeah,
much here we can salvage."
yeah, no,
Not that it was a bad book by any means, but like as far as
oh no,
remastering goes, a lot of it wasn't in step with a lot of the design processes we do these days.
yeah,
And it kind of ended up being a how what else do we put in here. Um,
hmm
in the end, I think it came out amazing. Visions, I think, are one of my favorite ions we've ever done. Like, I
I
really am
did,
pleased with
I
how that
do.
did.
I think the thing that I'm kind of like most satisfied with the way that we handled not just visions, but also the class archetype and
Mm.
the other sections of the book is that we did pay homage to a lot of the things that we did in the original book. Like visions were very clearly kind of templated on the awakened state from the awakened oracle from the first book, which was really when you designed it was kind of the predecessor to the first
Hmm.
ion. And I feel like it came back in a way that I feel like works really well with the new design. But then we also managed to do relics again, but kind of in a different way with Enlightened Reliquarian, and I
Hmm.
thought that was I was like okay, like nobody can say that we like left everybody
Yeah.
that liked the original behind. Like we genuinely put in the effort to try to get all of those flavor and cool ideas back. So I felt like that was a major success. But I do really like Visions, and it was conveniently the ION was in the word vision. So how
It's
could we
too
not?
perfect. Too perfect.
It's too yeah. I mean, when you're that on the nose, I feel like you just take what you're given.
Hmm. Uh,
But it was a not just a year of a remaster and a core book since our last visit. I mean, we also we put out quite a bit of new Starfinder material, behind the scenes for some of
mhm.
the lucky patrons, right?
So yeah, sure. We can pivot to Patreon. I had the most fun with a Patreon so far with the Starfinder stuff. It was really, really great to kind of flex about with that. Um, so for those not aware of the the monthly pings I do in the server, which I think by now most people know, but we have a Patreon, and on the Patreon we do one subclass every month, and every year we try to do a team. So year one, it was I think that was our whatever happens year. So it was whatever subclasses people wanted. It wasn't like a specific team, but I guess Pathfinder was the team. Year
Right.
two, Primal Power. We got a lot of great stuff, and year three was Pathfinder and Starfinder crossovers, and it was all about giving sci-fi subclasses to Pathfinder classes. And I am so pleased with how that came out.
Yeah,
So
there were some flavor busters in there.
mhm.
I mean, even last month was really strong. I like the Exemplar and I like the Guardian. Those were
Yeah,
both really really cool.
I think my favorite we did was the Tomaturge, where it was like kind of playing on like found footage and like you know
Yes, I did
tropes
love
you
that one a
can't really
lot.
do in Pathfinder. You can't have I've got a cursed video that I have to forward to 3 people or it'll kill me, Um, and it lets you like trap monsters inside the tech, kind of Ghostbuster style. So I'm really, really pleased with like how the tech implement for the Thaumaturge turned out. Um, it was a fantastic year. We've got a load of stuff, and we can actually talk more about the future of the Patreon in a way that is
Oh, we
exciting.
can.
Finally,
Oh,
because
so we know who won. Is that what we
yes, we do know who
is it?
won, but
Okay,
we'll also talk about how we're finally going to be releasing these as books. Um,
that's true.
that was the promise we made originally, that these would all be published as books. And we are probably looking at releasing the Patreon subclasses plus a bit of extra stuff on Pathfinder Infinite as our newest and kind of like I guess we were saying entry level series for people who wanted to see what we had to offer at a cheap cost. So we're going to be doing the Pat Plus series, which is our compilation books from the Patreon. We're thinking maybe $5 for the entire book, with obviously discounts for Patreon members. Thank you all very much for supporting and making them real.
Of course.
So there's going to need to be a little bit of reworking on some of them. The reason that the first two didn't go out immediately was because of the remaster. And
Huh?
we kind of didn't have all that much time to be putting into making these books come out, which was unfortunate, but it already took us like a year to get Oracles Plus out, and I think that was driving everyone insane. So, uh,
Yeah, and we owed it to people to try to
mm,
make that mark. So, some compromises had to be made, but we one of our good colleagues, Sean, is open to work again, which gives us a lot of opportunity to try to finish up those Paths Plus books. So
mhm,
we're excited to get back at that again and get you guys some new material.
mhm.
So
And it won't just be reprinted what's in there exactly. There are some things that need to be
correct.
tweaked, especially the first year where one of the new what are they called, denominations. One of the new
Yes.
denominations was Gorham, and I've received bad news
Mm.
about Gorham since.
Yeah.
Oops.
It Yeah, there was I don't think we could have foreseen that. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good our vision is. So
No. So
Even with advance notice.
no, I mean I found out that Gorm was going to die a little early because of Shining Kingdoms. And I also found out Tree Razor was going to die, which is great because I've talked about this before. I'd written up a big list of things I thought, well, here's what I think Tree Razor might be up to. And then Luis Loza sat me down and was like, he didn't make it. And the Wizard Teleportation Sub-School, that's correct. The first Wizard Sub-School we did. In fact, I think Sub-Schools as a whole are gone now, so that's something we'll have to work with. I don't think
Yeah, we'll have to make adjustments as a whole, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it works a little bit easier in the like the sub school system that we had kind of conceived for that, like kind of already like it plugs in. So we'll have to come up with something new, but it shouldn't be too hard for us to fill out the gap that gets made there. So I'm kind of excited. And then of course, as per usual for Team Plus, those books will come with VTT. So we're talking Foundry, we're talking Path Builder, we're talking Wanderer's Guide. So if you were just part of the patrons, like I know we had some people working on in the background, maybe floating some of those subclasses and stuff for use in their personal whenever we were doing it, but we'll have officially, managed modules by the team to make sure you guys can use those in game.
Yeah. And keep in mind that all Team Plus books have VTT and stuff. That will come up later. Beyond that, though, we are happy to announce the winner of the 2026 team poll. So this will be the overarching team for the year. And you can expect 4 subclasses by the end of the month dropping on the Patreon. So patreon.com/the Team Plus, I think.
Yep.
Is it the Team Plus or Team Plus? I think it's the Team Plus.
Right? No, I actually, I know we're the Team Plus in a lot of places, but I'm actually let me go.
Let's double check that before I send people to. Okay, it's just Team Plus. Okay, patreon.com/Team Plus. You will be seeing 4 subclasses. And this year's team is, of course, Gothic Horror. So you can expect a whole load of spooky stuff. I've already been ideating. I want to do a Vampire Slayer Ranger. I'm trying to think of and maybe some Exorcist Cleric stuff. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But I think this is a good year for Gothic Horror. Every year is a good year for Gothic Horror, obviously. But
that's so true.
But in the tail end of the year, we're going to be getting an adventure path that I know I myself have been waiting for maybe 10 years now, which is the Bastion of Blasphemies, where it'll be in Bastard Hall, the Castlevania of Ustalav. And in Adventures Plus, we're also going to have a horror mode. So those 2 coming out at the same time as a selection of horror-themed subclasses is really great timing. So I'm really excited to see that work out.
Yeah, that is absolutely. I mean, to see us get to go back and revisit that area is already really fun from Paizo's side, but it is always nice when that aligns with our plans anyway. Maybe we just have our finger on the pulse. I don't know.
This one is not us cheating. That was just pure good luck. Luck even.
Sometimes, you know what they say, better lucky than good, right?
Yes, basically. So, like I said, expect all sorts of cool Gothic Horror stuff on the Patreon. Team Plus, patreon.com/Team Plus, and you will be able to see those 4 brand new ones at the end of the month, and then polls at the end of every month as well. And listen, how much of a Gothic Horror fan am I? I literally have right here a Nosferatu shadow thing for my candles to put his shadow up on the walls.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's Patreon.
That is Patreon. I guess, I mean, do we want to talk about maybe books that have come out this year, things we're looking forward to from Paizo, things that we're just now coming to the end
I
of.
see.
I think the Dark Archive remaster is floating around in the ethos sphere.
We can talk about the Dark Archives remaster if you like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just maybe so what are your thoughts coming into a post remaster Dark Archive? What do you think we're looking at?
I see a lot of people with a lot of very strong thoughts. I always come to Pathfinder from the narrative point of view, and for me, the single thing I'm like, oh man, about is that the mutant owl bear that was in the book is now just a mutant bear, and that's the only thing I'm
Yeah,
disappointed about. It's fine. They could have they could have put some other monster. That's all.
yeah. It's tough to separate from some of those D&D
Yeah.
zeitgeist things when it's all. But I wish they had done another kind of cryptid. That would have been
Mm-hmm.
cool. I think you could have done something really cool there. Like honestly, maybe leaning into the whole, I don't know, the moth vibes that were coming
Oh,
around the
can you
first time or
imagine?
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been cool.
But
But yeah,
the chat has already shown their
that's
hand.
already calling it out. Yeah.
I think
So
when we first saw this, we looked at each other and said, "It's probably gonna be Psychics Plus next, huh?"
yeah, no, like I mean, I'd love to say that we won't be doing another caster book, but Paizo is in their relationship with at least the people we've seen seems to be to get them to vote for caster books. So I think psychics are actually in a decent spot right
Hmm.
now, but the notable focus point, like no adjustments there at all. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I necessarily agree 100% that they're in a bad spot.
Hmm.
But I can understand the sentiment. I'll say that. I think I can
Yeah,
understand the sentiment.
I definitely think that when you compare how oracles were post remaster versus how psychics were post remaster, it's a completely different story. You know, I think
Oh, for sure.
when oracles was released, or when Oracle was released, there were a lot of people who were rightfully so. I think maybe a little confused by some of the decisions. I can see where the decisions with the psychic came from, and I understand why some people aren't happy about them. But I think overall, psychic is still in a decent enough spot. You know, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
against doing a psychic plus for what it's worth. Psychic is a very fun class to
Oh,
write
sure.
for, but
Yeah, we would love to explore that area. I think that we have a lot of opportunities there too. I'm curious to see what we can do. The ion for them will be an interesting
oh
attempt. I
god.
will be curious. Yeah, I know, right? We kind of have to touch. There is one mechanic that I think is like it seems like the most obvious
Hmm.
point of pivoting in Unleash Psych, but you know how it is. We have to get the flavor first. We have to, so like it starts very small and we never lock in. So
Hmm.
it always has to be perfect every time. But yeah. Luckily, I mean, I mean, Thaumaturge got a little bit of I mean, not everywhere, but like Wand got some help. That was pretty
Hmm.
cool, so like it's always nice to see some of the Unleashed Psych. That's funny. Oh, night. Thanks for joining us, Dustin.
Hey,
Appreciate you.
Dustin.
Uh, Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think honestly, like there's a lot of really things to be excited about in Dark Archive, and it's got a lot of solid stuff. The one thing I am curious about is if this is the model for Psychic. Necromancer had the similar situation going on with its spell slots. So I'm curious. This kind of almost makes me wonder what's going to happen with Necromancer coming out for Impossible Magic, which maybe that's the next. Should that be our next subject of conversation? Impossible Magic.
Yeah,
What do you think?
sure. I can finally reveal some stuff. Obviously, I have to be very tight-lipped about anything. I'm not going to be giving any spoilers. Don't expect any of that. But I can finally reveal one of the funniest things that was happening in the Magic Plus playtest channels, where I was like, "Hey everyone, what would you guys like in Magic Plus?" And one of the big answers was, "We want a whole load of new spells." And I was like,
No.
I don't think I can get away with writing new spells because, as you'll see from, Impossible Magic's blurb, there's a couple of new spells in it.
Just a
Um,
smidge.
and I feel like if I happened to be the guy writing a bunch of new spells in a third party book after also being paid by Paizo to write on this book, maybe not the best move.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I can't say too much about Impossible Magic, but You can lead the charge, and I'll go every once in a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. So I'll take over because I did not write for the book, so I can just talk a little more freely. So someone's already called it out in the chat. You have to remaster Summoners Plus and Magus
I
Plus.
didn't think about
Yep,
that.
yep, that is true. Although I will say Summoners Plus came post remaster, and we feel pretty I won't say nothing's gonna change. I'd be pretty surprised if Summoner came through with a bunch of changes. I think it was in a really great spot before it went into it. There might be some things cleaned up. I don't want to give the synthesis lovers hope, but like maybe you'll get some love on meld into Eidolon, and maybe there'll be like a couple of feats tuned up. But overall in macro design, I would be shocked if it changed a substantial amount. So
Hmm.
we'll definitely do a pass if it, absolutely to make sure that it's in line on Summoners Plus. If we see it deviating pretty firmly, but it's not the one I would say is going to probably be like an actual big remaster
Hmm.
undertaking. I'm thinking Summoners, arguably, if it turns out the way I expect, could be the least work we have to do on a remaster so far, which would be awesome. I
Yeah.
would take a W. Um,
Magus.
Magus, on the other hand, or Magus. Sorry, I'm the one that says it wrong. I
I have
said
no idea how to
just
pronounce. I think
instead.
there's like 5 or 6 different ways to pronounce it, which is
Probably.
the Magoose. No.
The Magoose. Yeah, that was its affectionate name in playtest. I remember that. The Magoose.
But as far as it goes, I for this I can comment because I have not seen anything. I did not even look in that general direction
So
while
you don't
working on.
have any
I have
knowledge of the new
no.
the
I
new classes at all.
I
Okay.
fear not. So my guess would be that maybe some of the stuff having to do with schools, because there was like a few mechanics that were all based on schools. I know the remaster has already like done some stuff with that. I
Yeah.
I don't know what else they do a lot with.
So I
Maybe.
think I think the trick there is like how much of the magic magus are they going to change on, like how much is the feedback reached them that they feel like it needs adjustments. I'd say the one thing about it that to me seems like this obviously could get a pretty minor tweak and be a whole lot better for the class, to me seems to be Arcane Cascade. Seems to be a pretty obvious target. Either make it easier to get into the stance, maybe don't make it a stance. There's like a whole bunch of little tuning things I think you can do to make Arcane Cascade a little bit more approachable. But the truth is I mean it's all speculation. Like I also think like they could get radical with it, like they could make it to where you can't recharge strike, and it's just something that comes online after a specific duration. Like you can't spell strike again for one round, and then it comes back. So it kind of forces you into that round two. You can't just recharge spell strike again. So Starlit Span isn't just doing its little turret situation. It has to actually operate. But you never know. It's funny because I would say that of all of the classes that I've seen in play, the one that the player is like they play that class and they don't play other classes and they love how it works right now is Magus. Like that is Magus players, they just like to inject those gambling odds directly into their veins, and they want to roll big giant spell strikes with True Strike. That's like their favorite thing to do. So um, it'll be difficult to talk them out of wanting to do that, I think. And maybe Magus players just love it as it is. But I think there's a lot of ways that they could touch it. You're right about the schools thing. Arcane Shroud is one of them, but there was another one where it was like depending on what slot what the type of spell that you spent was, you could trigger an effect based on the school. I
Yeah,
do
that
remember
was
that.
always so awesome. That was my favorite stuff, but it's
I
going to be
did
a
like
little
those a lot,
trickier, I think, to do without schools. I think this is maybe the one
pretty
place
much.
where I genuinely feel sad that schools are gone. But if they change out with some traits, it should be okay, you know?
Yeah. I would love that to happen, like where if they start tapping into the trait system as a way to handle those types of things.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what they do. But yeah, I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful, and I'm pretty excited for Runesmith and um and Necromancer as well. I quite liked Necromancer in playtest. It was a pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool looking class. Thralls are a good idea. Like there, I mean,
Mm.
obviously some kinks to work out on it on like how they end up operating at the end. But I was pretty excited about seeing what they were going to do, and it always excites me to see a new casting structure, like the psychic. So seeing another class come in and replicate like those the types of slots with like a higher budget. And RuneSmith is of course radically different from anything that we've seen. So if anybody wants to play, Full Metal Alchemist, I mean, you got your opportunities there. But
Yeah. Speaking of Alchemist,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
that's a good
Speaking of
pivot.
Alchemist,
Uh, we
segue.
we are now quite deep into playtesting Alchemist Plus. There's still quite
Playtesting, yep.
a good lot of stuff left to do. I don't want to halfway, maybe not quite. But what we have so
Yeah, I
far is pretty great.
yeah, I'd say on the writing side, in terms of like on paper, we're probably just over the halfway mark. In our heads, but not on paper, probably about 80. Like
Mm,
we've talked about just about every piece that's going in the book. We've got the major structurals ironed out. We've got a lot of the flavors that we want to hit. Just some of the finer points on mechanics and hammer home. We want to make sure the this is one of those books where it's going to be, I think we're really trying to make sure that the arsenal for the alchemist is going up, which we know is a power increase across the budget. Like we're not dumb. We do recognize that giving them more items does make them stronger by proxy.
hmm
But that said, I mean, we want to make sure that those subclasses that didn't quite have as many options going for them, or those items that didn't have quite as many to their group, things like alchemical tools, alchemical food, bottle monstrosities, for instance, we're looking fairly
Yeah.
light.
As it
So
as
we're looking
is,
to
there's
fill out.
only like I think 20 bottled monstrosities in the game, and yet they're so popular. But we can't release an alchemist subclass that has 20 items. Um,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, some of them,
That's
I don't
right.
think there's any level one bottled monstrosities as is. So it becomes a question of how do we make sure that they have something, and ultimately that meant write a hell of a load of bottled monstrosities.
Yeah, and I would, and Bottle Monstrosity was the first subclass that we turned over to plus testers, and it's gone through, I would say, two iterations now. One pretty substantial, and a second one that I think was a little bit more just cleanup. And then a pass on all of the bottled monstrosities, and I think it's in a pretty good spot right now. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I know we got some playtests coming up, but it was looking pretty good before, but now I feel like we're in a really good place. And the new bottled monstrosities are nice. Do you want to tease maybe one or two of the new
Let
ones,
me
because they are pretty
see.
cool?
Let me pull up. I'll do ones that are only in the plus test. I'm not going to reveal any we haven't turned over yet because that's
That's
still
fair.
up in the
That's
air.
fair.
But let me see. Bottle o' Ooze. This bottle holds a
Buffalo
thick,
ooze.
viscous slime. When thrown 20 feet to an unoccupied space, it rapidly expands into an ooze. And then there's some other stuff. I'm not going to go into the exacts of it, but it basically grabs everyone in the area and overwhelms them, which is awesome. There's also Pickled Dragon, um, a bottle of strange liquid holding the embryo of a dragon outside, which hyperaccelerates to the appropriate age on release. When it breaks open, it ages rapidly and unleashes a powerful breath attack. That's really cool. I'm really fond of those.
Yeah, that is Pickle Dragon is I'd say a crowd favorite of the plus testers as
Mm-hmm.
well. They were campaigning very heavily to have the Monstrochymus, which is the subclass for bottle monstrosities we have, to be renamed as the Pickler. And I think we're still a no on that, but it does make
It
for a
did
pretty
get some
interesting.
consideration for me. I did. The only thing is that you can't pickle a ghost, which is
That's
unfortunate.
true. You
Um,
can't pickle a ghost.
but beyond that, we have all sorts of cool stuff. The spell Pyrophores being a dust that, when they come into contact with magic, ignite. That was pretty awesome. Um,
Yeah,
quenching.
I also like the foam. I do like the
Oh
foam.
yes,
Like I
the
think it's pretty
expanding
fun.
foam. It's a liquid
Yeah.
reagent. You throw it down, and it makes a huge explosion of foam that then rapidly solidifies to kind of make a wall, but not exactly.
Yeah, it's more like an obstruction, but I
Mm-hmm.
do like how like the element that it has with we're still tuning it, but right now what it does is it automatically extinguishes non-magical fires in the area because foam is such a good like fire retardant agent. So like I thought that was a really cool element that you incorporated into it with like the
Mm.
fire, being essentially put out by the foam.
Although
But then
I did
also
find out that apparently in real life expanding foam like that is extremely flammable. So we'll see.
oh, okay. Well, this is
Well,
special
it's
alchemical
magic.
foam. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right?
We
That's
don't have to
that's
worry
how it
about it.
works.
I think my favorite thing that we're doing right now, at least flavor wise, on Alchemists, is the practitioners.
Yes, those are very fun. I do like them.
Because
And I think
this,
we're in a good space for them.
yeah, I mean, the newest version that got turned over, amazing. I'm so pleased with that. It's going to be great. Um, it is, you're correct, it's not magic, but we'll get into that. So when we were researching for Alchemist Plus, because something that is very important to me is making sure that things narratively work. Um, I have a friend who is an actual alchemist in real life, which is to say, she practices a lot of the kind of like, like how there's people who practice witchcraft. My
Oh yeah.
friend, whose name is Witch as well,
Nice name.
great name. She does alchemy as a like a mystic and like an occult thing. And I asked her, "Hey, could you give me some notes on the history of alchemy?" And I got the densest and most incredibly hard to understand text I've ever gotten. She had handwritten symbols all over it. I didn't understand a word of it. Um, and I forced myself to understand it. And what we see as alchemy in Pathfinder, very much so, is more or less chemistry with magic flavor put into it. And that would be the kind of alchemy that people like Robert Boyle or Isaac Newton practiced, right?
Yes, yes.
But well, actually, Newton less so because he's such a weird guy. Did you notice? He's such a weird person. He was like, "Yeah, I discovered gravity, but that's like incidental." Did you know that I can live forever? He really had some odd theories because his accidental discovery of real scientific stuff was a side stuff to what he was actually up to, which is trying to make the Philosopher's Stone and purify his soul for all eternity. Good for him.
That is fascinating. I did not know that Sir Isaac Newton was busy trying to make a philosopher's stone. That's
He
actually
was up to a
fascinating.
lot of weird things, and he discovered gravity by accident, and it wasn't his passion.
Did he though? We don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's absconded into
As
obscurity
far
with
as we
his
know, he could be pulling
immortality.
a Saint Germain, right?
Yeah,
But
we have no idea.
the idea with the practitioners was I wanted to make it so that we had a way to play alchemists who aren't just bomb hurling chemist fiends, and looking at what alchemy has meant in history to many different cultures. So, yes, there is the regular alchemist, which is all about doing a bit of mad science. But then some of this isn't on the plus test, so, bear in mind. My glasses have gone really smudged. I'll just go without them. We have one of the ones we have is mystic alchemy, which is like we said there, the idea being, hey, yeah, you can turn lead into gold, but that's only the first step. You're going to transform your own soul into a divine soul and become a immortal, greater than human being through alchemy, which is fun. There was also stuff like how a lot of alchemists specifically took influence from this composite character made from, I think, Hermes and Thoth in Egyptian mythology. And
Hmm.
that looking at the stars would give them the messages for how to create do the great works. The recipes are in the sky. Look up, and trying to get
Hmm.
all those kind of weird versions of alchemy out. So, yeah, you can play a guy who throws bombs, but maybe you want to play someone who has poison for blood. And here's how that works.
Yeah, and I just for a little tidbit for the plus testers, if if I have any luck, you might be getting a drop of one of the practitioners that Derry mentioned just now tonight. So fingers crossed.
Exciting. And it,
Maybe.
also, as a reminder, if you join the Patreon, you get access to plus test stuff. So if you're really hankering to see any of this, technically you can. You just, you have to join the Patreon for it. So oopsie daisy.
Yep.
Beyond that, Alchemist Plus is coming along very nicely. We have a few more subclasses we want to make, but it is very much so a balancing test of every time we make a new subclass, we do have to make new items. And that's
Yep.
trickier than making the subclass itself.
It really is. It really is. And I think so far I like the map. I like the road ahead of us. But in terms of ways that we're adjusting the Alchemist with this book, or adding to it, I should say, yeah, it is making sure that we move forward very, very tricky. Don't worry, it'll have more subclasses than Inventor did, but that's a pretty low bar for us to jump. So, but yeah, I think we have a really good list, and we'll hopefully turn those over in the near future. But one of them that's already been turned over is called Fictor, and that one's really fun, and it kind of does like like a whole it's funny because Fictor, how did you come up with that name? Because I really like that name.
So, Fictor is an old Greek word for a sculptor, and it was used occasionally in reference to medicine and science, someone who would
Hmm.
create new things. I'm not certain we'll be staying with it, but it seems to be a pretty popular name. And it sounds sciencey, right? Ultimately, that is the most
Yes.
important thing. The names for the subclasses have been the most difficult because turns out there's not a lot of cool fantasy sounding names for, you know, I make bombs, I make monsters in bottles. There's not like, you kind of have to get quite creative with where they come from.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons maybe I like Fictor is it's one of the few that doesn't always feel like it has to end in ist. Like so and so far like for that reason I think it's doing an okay job where it is. But Fictor is kind of a bit of a I guess it would be kind of more like the MacGyver alchemist, right? Like making anything into a tool for their disposal. And I think we're about to see the next playtest with it, but I've heard some really good feedback on where it's landed now. It has also gone through, I would say, two decent iterations, but I think we knew that these two would be I would say some of the more I would call them plus iconic type approaches to the designs. Like these are a little bit more complex or a little bit more zhuzh, like they're a little bit extra. So we came in, we wanted to make sure we got them right, which is why we got them over to the plus testers early so we could get that double dose of feedback when possible. Some of the ones that are coming are still good, but they're a little bit more straightforward, I would say. So it's not going to be quite as difficult to imagine what they would do. But yeah, I mean, I think we've talked a lot about Alchemist Plus. I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we can expect with Shining Kingdoms?
That's what I was on my phone for. I was pulling up some submissions we've gotten. So, Shining
Oh,
Kingdoms
exciting.
was, I'm really excited for that because obviously it's a book that I worked on and I was very passionate about getting some of the features in it into mechanical terms. We've had a couple of delays on getting it out, mostly just because it's been a crazy year for I think like half the authors on the book. But what has been turned over and what we are like almost getting ready to hand over to playtesters when we have the chance is genuinely just incredible. Like I'm going through some of the stuff that we've been given here. One of the things I'm really excited about is denominations. I always like having
Yay.
denominations in an Omens Plus book.
They're great.
And the denominations here, we wanted to get stuff. Hey, here's some local sub worships of different deities. One of them that I really like, and I'm just gonna read it out because it's so perfect. Is Norgorber the Vengeful Flame for all your arson god needs.
Oh, yes.
Because in Taldor, of course, there was the Great Fire of Opera, which is obviously meant to kind of be like the Great Fire of London, and I'll just read this out because I think this is so cool. As the Great Fire of Opera took place in the months after Norgorber's ascension, there has been a persistent urban legend linking the god to the event. This legend claims that Norgorber used the fire, starting it himself even, in order to massacre those who knew him in life. Modern Norgorbites generally rebuke this idea from two extremes. Some say the event is too audacious for their subtle god, and others argue that if the fire had been Norgorber's doing, he would have left no survivors in Taldor. And then, since the recent civil war and the God's Reign, this legend has been gaining credence as a cult bent on revenge and destruction arises. A significant number of these people are ex-Serenites who had turned to the God of Secrets during the Great Purge. The very emotional turmoil of seeking both revenge and redemption is said to empower the flames of these cultists. So he's basically like a version of Norgorber that's all about fire, revenge, and, making sure no one who has ever wronged you is left alive, which is...
I got it. So almost where the secret has kind of buried itself deep enough to turn into like brooding and then eventual
exactly.
Like,
and there's
cool.
other ones I'm really excited about to do. But I'm also really, really into some of the mechanics we got turned over. We are going to have musketeers, of course, because what is Galt if we don't have musketeer swashbucklers? But we also have a updated version of the Rondolero archetype, which is very cool. I believe it got a buff in
nice.
Battle Cry, but now there's just a load of very cool extra stuff in it. And I'm seeing what else I can pull up here. Here we go. From the amazing Stephanie Lundeen.
Ooh.
If it'll load. I apologize. Okay. For example, here's one that's fun. Another nomination I won't go into as much. But a Five King Mountains version of Balumdar, who is a Mwangi deity. And Balumdar is the god of giants and mountains and like just massive size. But this is a version for the dwarves in the Five King Mountains who are like, he's actually a dwarf, we're pretty sure. He's the god who created this mountain, obviously, which is extremely cool.
That is very cool. I love that.
We also have an archetype for the Larad spirit speakers. So in the city of Larad, in the Five King Mountains, there are a very spiritualist sect of dwarves. And we now have an archetype for it, which allows you to call upon spirits. You inhale deeply, you reach out and mentally connect with a spirit nearby. It gives you a bonus to your will saves and your perception, and you can actually ask them a couple of yes or no questions with recall knowledge. And then, of course, more than that, but there's some absolutely incredible stuff in there. I'm really excited to see.
That's really cool.
I mean, the stuff we've gotten from Shining Kingdoms Plus so far. We're going to have a load of animal companions. I was seeing my partner's writing the Andoran animal companions, and he's been watching a lot of eagle videos to kind of understand how they hunt. Because I think it's the gold-specked osprey, I believe, which it's a kind of osprey that when it dive bombs, it leaves a trail of gold dust behind it, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, we had a stacked house as far as authors go.
Mm-hmm.
Dave did such a great job on John Shaw with everyone's favorite expansion of Starlit Sentinel, which was
so pleased
huge.
with the Starlit Sentinel expansion. He did an amazing job.
Right, and it only made sense. But then we have Sen HHS, Andrew White, Stephanie Lundeen. You and me we're not bad either, right? Like,
I think we're pretty decent at this point. I think we've earned our stripes.
Is us being on the book, hopefully that's something for everybody. But yeah, I know it's just a very, we're very grateful that for the team that we had to get it together. So and you did fantastic job of like getting the same people, that were part of the original setting book. So, thanks so much for I guess making sure that we had the right team to do the job. Like that was, can't get any more blessed than that. Right?
No, yeah, genuinely. I'm very pleased with who we were able to grab for it. I suppose now's when we talk about Adventures Plus, huh?
The big
The
one, the
big
Core
one.
Plus, the 2026 Gen Con launch.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed, anyway.
Yeah, I think
Barring
we
no
can make it.
major life events.
Oh,
No, I mean,
please
so
God.
far, I mean, if we can do Magic Plus in time,
Mm-hmm.
surely,
This
surely,
seems
right?
like
Surely.
less of a, which is crazy because it's making two brand new classes. But I feel with
It's true.
Magic Plus, there was a lot of things that a lot of people very passionately wanted to be exactly right. And that meant that it was a little trickier at times to balance out what people wanted to do and what feasibly we can do without, spending years and years undertaking it.
Right. I think that's, I mean, especially with the Essence magic system where we were trying to find a suitable replacement um for Vancian and spell slot based casting. That was, that was always going to be a tall glass. Luckily, I think, I mean, Mark Seifert did an amazing job to come in and kind of give us the the system that really ended up doing a lot of work. Like I really like the way it functions in campaigns, especially for GMs that like to run the all day adventures. But for this one, I feel like there's a lot of plug and play systems that we really
Mm-hmm.
want to do with this, to where people can kind of like come in and truly season to taste the tables. But
Mm-hmm.
before we get into maybe some of those smaller systems, do you want to give us maybe like a sneak peek idea of where we are landing with Vessel and Trickster? Because
Sure.
we have some blueprints,
Mm-hmm.
written up. So I figured maybe give them a teeny dose. And you guys know it's always subject to change,
Mm-hmm.
especially this is pre-play test. So
Yeah.
this is early.
So we have very, very, very early versions of the Trickster and the Vessel. So early that they do not have do not have feats. They have maybe one, two subclasses each. It's I don't even know if some of these subclasses will be staying. We're still trying to kind of figure out where we're looking at. But with the Trickster, it's got a key attribute in Dexterity, um, similar-ish, similar-ish proficiencies to the Magus with a few things tweaked around. Like the Magus gets a trained in Arcana, the Trickster gets trained in Thievery because, of course. What it is a what's the word? It is a spontaneous charisma based class caster, where the it kind of learns spells the way a bard would, where it's like I only need to know these off the top of my head. I don't need to like write them down. We might add a spell book feat that they can take a la bard, but that's a later problem. Their subclasses are called ruses. Every trickster has a way to perform their craft, a method that gives them an edge above their detractors. At first level, you select your ruse. This choice determines the type of spells you cast and the spell list you choose from, the additional spells you learn, and your additional trained skills. You also gain focus points and special focus spells based on your ruse. The focus spells obviously being mockery spells, which is very cool. The way
I
that
mean, you just nailed it with the names. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
Like
very pleased with
ruse
the
and
the
mockery.
vibes.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like just like very very well played.
The idea with the Trickster, which is I think a lot more solidly set in stone than the Vessel, but obviously we'll get back to the exacts. Is their big thing is the cunning waylay. You know how to get the upper hand in combat and take advantage of the foolishness of your foes. You gain the cunning waylay action, which is a strike. It takes one action. You strike at a foe while they are vulnerable. Make a strike. On a success, you deal additional precision damage. The number varies, so we're not going to get into that. Plus one or plus something, again, we don't know, for every condition the creature has, maybe with a cap, we don't know. The idea being that the trickster's shtick is that it will be jumping on people who have been given conditions and giving them as many other conditions as they can, and then just wailing on them. Probably looking to do around the same damage as like a rogue can maybe do. There's a bit of a rhyme between this and a rogue. Like if the Magus is fighter wizard, then this is I guess bard rogue.
Yeah. one of the things that I really like about this design, as is it in some ways it's almost like the antithesis of a swashbuckler in a way, which I feel like is a really one of the things with Trickster that's tough is okay, it can't be like the bard, it can't be like the rogue, and it can't be like the swashbuckler. How do you thread that needle? But instead of a swashbuckler, they're all about like kind of buffing themselves, like getting into panache and then like doing a big finisher to take care of them. Where the trickster is more of like getting somebody absolutely, fooled off their gourd,
Mm-hmm.
debuffed to heck, and then taking advantage of that is really kind of almost like a complete inverse way to take somebody toward attacking, but still feels very Pathfinder Second Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, I'm excited to kind of explore, ruses and mockery and finding all the other ways that we can be clever tricksters.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The
super super cool design.
the vessel is less set in stone, and anything I say from here, be fully aware it has not been play tested. We haven't looked at it very well. What we have here is literally the earliest pass. Do not judge the mechanics. It might be that the whole thing gets ripped up and torn apart. Because something with the vessel that we have to keep in mind. The narrative here is that vessels are they are a normal kind of non-combatant person, but they have a terrible ting inside of them that they can release that rampages. But you don't necessarily always want to be releasing the monster. It's not like a barbarian. It's more like there is a time and a place to go hog wild, and you might not necessarily want to go into the full combat mode every time in combat. How that's going to work out, we don't know. But what we have is our very first pass. The vessel's key attribute is Constitution, because it's, again, at this point. Because we don't necessarily want it to be that it's very intelligent, because the monster version might not be. And we don't want it to feel like it's very strong, because the person one might not be. But the Constitution, it feels like, oh yeah, even if they're in human mode, the thing inside them doesn't necessarily want them to die, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would say that's probably a critical part of the
Mm,
vessel, uh, the bounded entity in question
mhm.
for the host to be alive.
So what's really fun, and again, this is early, so could be subject to change, is in this first pass, um, its proficiencies are dog shit. If you'll pardon me, it's terrible in its saves. It is terrible in its attacks. It doesn't get armor. If you sneeze at it, it's in a bad position. The reason being is that that is your persona, your human form, their outer self, the face with which they interact with the world around them. At level 1, you choose a persona. So your persona, the one that we have down right now, is the academic. You are a scholar, a student of obscure topics and complex lore. Um, and what that does is you get trained in academia lore, and some stuff I should actually explain first. We'll get back to that. The persona is your human form, your Bruce Banner, right? But of course, what is your persona without the shadow? Your shadow is the Hulk. The shadow is the terrible monstrosity that you hide within you that acts on your most basic desires or the desires of something else. So this is obviously taking kind of a Jungian look with the persona, the shadow. If you've played the Persona series in general, you know the whole "I am the shadow, the true self" shtick. The persona is your basic form. The shadow is your monster form. And how do you swap between them? Right now, the way we have it is a meter called your frustration. Every minor setback gives the thing you're burying a chance to crawl fort. Whenever you fail a roll or take damage equal to your level or greater, you gain the frustration condition. Your frustration condition increases each time you continue to fail rolls or take damage in this way. At the end of every turn where your frustration score is above 0, you must make a DC tree flat check to avoid unintentionally using Unleash True Form, with a circumstance penalty equal to double your frustration condition. So the idea is the longer that combat goes, the more likely that you're going to lose your temper, as it were, and Hulk out. But you don't necessarily want to be rushing into it, because with, for example, the academic that we were talking about before, you gain a circumstance bonus to your checks to recall knowledge equal to your frustration. So by maybe round 3 in combat, you might have a +4 to your recall knowledge or something. Again, not set in stone. Nothing has been tested. This is me, blue sky pitching. It might get ripped to shreds. But the idea is the longer that you... Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of really great ideas there, and I think it fits within the narratives that we see in all kinds of places. Bruce Banner and the Hulk. You get even Abomination from the Darkest Dungeon games is very, very similar to that concept, where you're kind of flipping back and forth between the big scary creature and then your normal persona form. Dare I spoil? You mentioned that they have really bad proficiencies, but I did think that maybe we could tease the potential of where we are looking in terms of one specific proficiency, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, go for
Because
it.
I do. Okay, so like right now, so don't freak out, chat, but we might be looking at the potential for the first, or well, not the first, but another expert track proficiency marshal for when they're in their shadow form, for their true form. And I think the reason that we're looking in that direction is because we want to make sure that this doesn't come off too closely to Barbarian, and we feel like we can do really well with a budget that's similar to the Gunslinger in terms of the subclasses and stuff, in terms of how we structure things and move things forward. I think the way that we're working the pieces now, like I think there's a lot of things that we have now that we'll keep, and we'll try to realize their truest potential before we ultimately get it over to plus testers to tell us whether or not we're succeeding or failing on that front. But I do think the expert track is the way to make Vessel kind of stand out from other marshals of its type. And, for those that have always said, hey, why doesn't the monk get expert proficiency? It's weird that I have to be, if I want to be good at unarmed attacks, my only option is to play, or the only way to get expert proficiency in unarmed attacks is play a fighter. Well, now, for those that didn't particularly like that option, you will now hopefully potentially have another option in Vessel where you can kind of take on those mantles. So I'm very excited. I think both of the designs are in a really great place. Flavor wise, they're both there. They're very distinct. I think I love the future of where they're going to head. So
Yes, very excited for that.
absolutely. But we're not the only parts of this book. I know we're writing quite a few systems, and we got those 2 classes coming, but
oh, I'm so excited for those systems, though.
I mean,
Ooh,
shall we? Yeah, like I think, well, I'll drop. As you mentioned already, you teased that horror is coming, which that's a really cool system. And so, will that? How? I mean, are we talking like a reimagined, like version on like what you were maybe thinking with Folio of Fear, or like what do you have in mind for like the horror system?
Yeah.
For Adventures Plus.
So one of the big things is that I feel like every time someone has tried in Folio of Fear, we had a version of the horror system that was very, very bare bones, which is more or less an adaptation from the Cypher Systems version of the Magnus Archives Fear thing, which is to this day one of my favorite mechanics I've ever seen or used, because it really does a great job in not just scaring the player characters, but the players, and reminding them you can't just I'm not scared your way out of this, because there is a very real danger to your characters here. Where the idea is every time you enter horror mode, and at that point all nat 2s count as nat 1s. And if you roll a nat 2 or nat 1, horror mode heightens, So now all nat trees count as nat ones, then all nat fours, until you get to the point, like I did in a session of Magnus once, where every nat 10 and below was a nat 1. And it
Oh
was the
God,
tensest I've ever seen my party. They were genuinely pale in the face trying to figure out what to do. And that was how you play horror in TTRPG.
that is
But
fun. I
on
do
the
like
other
that.
hand, Pathfinder is a system that has a lot of rolling. So there are
It's true.
tweaks that have to be made. And one thing that I'm kind of toying with is rather than it just being nat one, you get the regular crit fail thing, is I'm thinking of making a list of, and these are so far preliminarily named, twists. So when you get a nat one or nat two or nat whatever, you roll a d100 and you get a different twist. And this might be like, you fail, you don't crit fail, but you fail. And also, suddenly all the lights go out, and now you're in darkness. Or also, the doors all lock on their own, to really raise the tension. Or also, another monster from a nearby room wanders inside, you know?
Those are
Again,
all fantastic. I feel like that's a really fun way to like drive up the tension in a scene, even if it won't necessarily have a direct impact. I mean, I think most times the lights going off or the door shutting could have a very serious one, but um yeah, I do love that the element of a twist happening while you're kind of in horror mode. That's such a cool idea.
the idea of like, you can have, what's the word? No plan survives impact with the actual situation. And when you're going into horror, you're like, okay, so we know the monster is weak to this, we know that we can kill it with that, etc., etc. One bad roll later, and then suddenly there's something you cannot have prepared for, and suddenly everyone's freaking out because they're like, we weren't ready for that. What do we do now? And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see kind of how people can start incorporating horror to their tables, and the fact that Horror Plus has like lost the vote a couple of times now, but Derry and I
I
both have
won't let
little
it
love in
happen
our heart.
anymore.
Yeah, we have to slip in some. You saw all the pent up horror Derry had when he made Folio of Fear. They did an incredible job with that book as well. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend. It is, at the very least, it is absolutely gorgeous art. And if you're looking for specific scary creatures, I don't think you can find a better spot. Um, so I did love that book that you did, Derry. Is
Thank you.
fantastic. So
I recently, this is a quick side, but recently I ran an adventure from it in person for some of my friends in a Dracula
oh,
themed TTRPG room in a cafe in California. Geeky Teas and Games, if you haven't been there, it's fantastic. And it was so delightful to watch one of the players realize that the monster that he was fighting was in fact based on a nightmare he had told me once. So
wow,
watching him like
you're
slowly tilt his head at me, being like, "Wait a fucking second."
that's diabolical. Wow.
And it's
With
one of my
friends
favorite.
like you,
They're
that is
fine. They kicked its ass, but there was
uh,
definitely a little bit of stress there. Yeah.
well, he got the opportunity to
Yeah.
conquer his fear.
Closure, right? Surely it's fine.
Yeah, you favor.
But
Um, but
regardless.
but regardless, yeah. I mean, let's talk about some of the other people that we got on the book, because it's not just going to be us, and we got a. I would say that the team we got is the perfect team for the job. Like
Agreed.
every one of these people has just brilliant visions on the macros and the subsystems within the game, and the things that we're looking to target with Adventures Plus. So I'll shout out them in as best as I can. I asked them to send me little blurbs earlier, and I'll add a little of my own to a few of these if I feel like they could use some. I'll have to call out one of them who did not send me their blurb in time, but that's okay. I can give them a little shout out, and then one that the accomplishments speak for themselves. So a blurb was not necessary. But first on the list, I'll go ahead and announce. Some of you may know them as Raven in the server. very famous for the Path Warden and the Warden systems, which are two very large 2E hacks that are very good at enhancing the system for the purposes of what that system is going for, like making it. I don't know. How would you describe Warden Dairy? Like it's difficult to, I guess, quantify it into
I
small terms, but
guess it is tricky because it's such an expansive project. I think the best way I can put Warden is breaking Pathfinder out of its fantasy shackles. You can still play it as fantasy if you want, but now there's stuff for superheroes, there's stuff for sci-fi, and some of the systems in it genuinely. I remember because Warden. I worked on some of the art for the original and then some of the art in Path Warden. And I remembered just looking through the PDF as I was being assigned stuff, going, damn, that's good. That's really good. Like, there was a Nemesis system I really liked.
hard to beat that.
And it was
That's a tough.
it was really nice. So when we were looking at who we might be able to invite, I was like, look, man, I've been seeing this stuff. He's going to be able to perform well. And I mean, so far with the turnovers we've been looking at, god damn, right?
Oh, I'm excited. Like I it in even just the preliminary conversations with them before we have gotten, because some of them are still working on it, but for the turners we have, they're great, and the conversations so far have been fantastic. In terms of them understanding what we need out of the material, where to take things, how to handle it. We're really excited to see, how Raven handles the systems assigned. We'll do we want to, we can tease, I'll tease one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
those that have been looking at like ways to enhance bosses, let's just say Raven's on the job. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some new boss stuff coming for people that want to soup up the dungeon and make the bosses a little bit extra.
I feel like a lot of
But
people always complain that it's hard to do a good solo boss in Pathfinder. If only someone could do
true.
something about that. Anyway.
Yeah, if yeah, be cool. It sure would be cool. But not to stop too early. We've got a couple more names to get through.
Mm-hmm.
So one that I'm really excited for, and this one was kind of I think a special choice for us because the person has kind of been with us in Fan Plus for so long and
Mm-hmm.
so close to us that it they had developed a system to help not only with their personal games that they run in their own time, but also specifically in all the playtest games that they run for us, which I would say this person and one other GM, Opme, as the other GM, run so many of our playtest games, and they do such an amazing job. And so this system, which I think right now the tentative name that we're batting around some ideas, but the Journey system is the tentative name, for basically how you deal with travel between like large systems. So giving a call out to Jelly or Mary Elizabeth Hall for the publishing name, who is a fantastic GM, recently published Drake Hunt on Pathfinder Infinite. Go check it out. It's a really great adventure. But the journey system she developed it's very cool. I think we fell in love with it immediately, and I want to say that like of all the names that we looked at, not that anybody wasn't an absolute godsend to get. I think we knew Jelly was going to be the pick pretty early once the book got
Yes.
chosen.
I mean, I remember looking at like early stuff for journeys. Um, God, it is such a like. I don't want to go into like the mechanics of it too much. I've seen there's a billion travel systems out there. Everyone and their mom has made a
There
travel
is.
system. I took
Yeah.
one look at this thing and was like, oh my god, I need to use this in the next thing. It is so, so good. Like it really takes the narrative of being on a journey to another level. And instead of it being like, oh, as you're traveling from this place to that place, here is a monster you have to fight. But the journey system, it includes stuff like making meaningful choices. Hey, you've heard that this road is shorter, which is good, but also that there is a monster that might be here about it. Meanwhile, the longer road doesn't have that monster, but by the nature of it being longer, there will be more hazards on the road. and it's so fantastic. The way that it resolves, it really makes it feel like every decision you are making while on that journey will change things. One of the things I really like is discoveries, where instead of like necessarily finding something, something here wants to kill you or here's some treasure, a discovery might be a good or bad thing. One of them that I really liked was, yeah, there's a monster here that its very presence changes the weather, and if you kill it, the weather will go back to normal. But that would mean going into a fight. And is that something you're prepared for? And again, just that decision making becoming such a crucial part of the journey. Each player, I think, has like different roles they can take in making it. And yet, I'm saying all this stuff, but it is so simple as well. It is such a straightforward and easy to get system. So simple, and yet so many options and so many ways for it to work out. I was salivating just looking at it. Like, this is what I want in Adventures Plus.
Yeah, I mean, you took a lot of the words right out of my mouth. Like, there's just so much potential for this system. Like when Jelly and I were talking about it, I mean, at the very we talked inspirations, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what kind of stories you want to tell this, and the obvious two that came up was the Odyssey, right? Can't beat Homer, right? Like Odysseus did have a heck of a journey he had to go on, and then you've got the Lord of the Rings, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
all three books are really just about the journey of getting from the Shire all the way to Mordor. And in both of those stories, I feel like what we were talking about, like how do we make the journey feel lived and important and significant in a way that doesn't feel like you want something to happen because it's a long way to travel and but you didn't have anything necessarily planned, so you like decide to do what everybody has done for the last however many years that tabletops have been in the game. You decide, well, let's roll, let's use the 1d12 for its one job. And if it's an 11 or 12, a monster shows up, right? So I think the thing that really excited me about the system wasn't just the choices that you bring up, where it's like, okay, like now you have two paths to get to the town. So where previously like GMs were really like, okay, there's a road to Absalom. So now you take the road to Absalom, and I'll roll my die 12, no monster. Okay, you arrive, right? No real engagement. The GM doesn't really have time to slow the game down and give you those cool narrative moments of like you talking to your team, which is another part of this system that I think is really cool, is that it makes not just the upbeats of tension and pressure and like just even discoveries and like those big moments, but it also makes those little moments of what we're calling peaceful segments in the journey. It makes those downbeats really kind of stick, where
Mm-hmm.
like the team gets a moment to talk to each other to kind of evaluate like how the journey's going and like what they just had to go through to get down that mountain and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a really cool element to it. And one concept that I'll kind of tease for everybody here that is mentioned at the very bottom of the rules for this, but to me it is like an extremely obvious play, is that if you are trying to run a game that is a sandbox, or quite literally just you're Lewis and Clarking it across the world of Discovery, or even full blown like trying to do a West Marches, you could use this system to essentially build your world out with segments being things that connect cities together like nodes. It's got a lot of potential. Like you could just sit down and start playing with this system and get to different places with these characters. And for those of you out there that have always been like, "Oh, how do we play?" like not everybody likes to GM. This is one of the few times where I actually think if you're running the journey system, you could run a rotating GM pretty
Mm-hmm.
easily
Yeah.
and have a GM sit in for the run that week while you travel between, different cities or whatever with the group that you're in. So I think that's honestly, I'm very excited for a lot of parts of the system, but that is ultimately why we could not pass on having Jelly part of the team. It looked too good, and Jelly agreed that like with us all working together to work on the system, we would get it to where it could realize this full potential that I think Derry and I both saw with it. Um, when Jelly first started running it in the server. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but going on to our next individual who honestly like has probably generated a decent amount of cross sales for us just in the sheer amount of work they have put into their designs and their systems with building books that integrate with Team Plus products. But I don't know if anybody's heard of Offline Enigma or the very awesome Michael Hosp. But Michael has just joined the team as well. And Michael, for those of you that don't know, has a bunch of pay what you want, awesome books on Pathfinder Infinite that are in some cases over 100 pages of work, which is kind of crazy.
It's so
In
funny
fact,
because like one of the when we were like, hey, we really need to get Michael on this. One of the things people wanted was kingdom building and base building specifically, right?
yeah,
And
exactly, yeah.
we were like, okay, let's see who else has done it in the field. And we were like, oh, on the same day that Magic Plus released, Mike put out the Home of the oh gosh, what was it? Home of the Humble Hero. Let me quickly get it. I apologize if anyone in chat has it. Let me know.
Yeah, I can maybe try to find the
Lodgings of the
exact
Roaming
name of the
Hero.
book.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Um, and we took a look at it, and we were like, God damn it, we can't do better than this. Like
Yeah,
we
no,
can't. This is the best version of this system out.
we couldn't do anything. We were like, do we I was like it was like it felt like we would be reinventing the wheel. It is a fantastically done system. It works really well. I love how expansive it is. Like maybe if we had done a pass on it, we could have, like given it some more, plus energy. But like the
It's
the,
already
the other
so
truth of
goddamn
it is,
good.
yeah, it's so good. It's also enormous. Like Michael put in a lot of work to make to a system to where like I don't know that we could reasonably recreate anything close with the word count that we would be
No,
able to
it was
allocate to such
like
a system.
we literally were like pouring over it, being like, God damn it, this is perfect. We can't.
Yeah,
Like
like
I remember I DM'd Mike being like, you don't think there's anywhere you could improve on it, do you? And he was like, I could have more rooms. And I was like, no, we'll just get you to do something else.
yeah, which led us to honestly, it made me feel seeing what Michael did with the kingdom system. I think made us feel really comfortable about moving in the which the long awaited. Everybody talked about it back when. Which what did we announce it with the first time? Kingdoms Plus, was that the
I think it
one
was Kingdoms
original?
Plus we originally announced this on, and this on its by the very nature of being in Kingdoms Plus, push a lot of people to Kingdoms Plus.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the most popular call out for Kingdoms Plus, but yeah, Michael is. For those of you that are wondering how well it will work out, we put what we believe to be the best person for the job on relationships, the relationship, and Michael and I have had a pretty long conversation about how the system can work, how building relationships can function, and it will not totally replace the system unless GMs want to of hostile through friendly. But in key relationships that GMs want to allow, they'll be able to kind of bust open that hostile to friendly in a little bit more of a unique way. So those of you that are familiar with relationship based games where like you can kind of build different kinds of relationships with different people, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, Baldur's Gate 3, there's all kinds of games where building relationships. Even Sid Meier's Pirates, for instance, has, you can kind of build relationships with different places. And we're not speaking strictly romantic, though we know our audience. Some of you are going to use it almost exclusively for romantic stuff, but there will be other kinds of relationships. We've talked about nemesises and rivals. We've talked about potential partners for business and things like that. But I trust Michael to come up with some really good ideas for those, especially after our conversations. So I think I'm definitely super excited to see relationships from him.
One thing I'm really excited for, and this is not less about the rules, and I apologize, this is a little off topic, but
No,
with
sure.
this, we had joked about being the dating sim rules, and it's
Right.
kind of
Yes.
expanded to be a lot more than that, right? But the dating sim
Yes.
rules joke was one that was there, and ever since we first announced this, there's been one thing I have known in my heart I have to do when we get to this for the art. So you
Ooh.
might there was Ashton Sperry was a Paizo freelancer and a Pathfinder Infinite creator who, unfortunately passed away last year. And I still think about them a lot, and because they were a big inspiration on me as both a freelancer and a Infinite creator. And it's a different website not seeing their art in Pathfinder Infinite. But one of the jokes that they were making very frequently when Lost Omens Legends released was a dating sim involving the Whispering Tyrant. I am going to make it there is going to be a picture, a fake screenshot in this book of you romancing the Whispering Tyrant and him blushing and looking away tsundere style. I do it in Ashton's memory. That has been the one thing I'm like, I have to do it. I have to.
I think Ashton would love that. Yeah, and I highly encourage anybody that appreciates good art to check out Ashton Sperry's art on Drive Thru RPG. It's fantastic, super iconically unique, like heavy lines. I always love like the look for them, and a lot of them are like, I mean, you can't get that kind of attention to detail, I feel like, in every artist's work. So absolutely do. Ashton was good people. Absolutely.
But I'm very excited to have the dating sim rules, and finally, because God knows there have been, when I played Strand of Thousands, especially in the first book, my players very much so treated it as a dating sim game. Book 1 is the longest I have spent on any Adventure Path book ever. And it's because they would not stop romancing the other students and trying to go crazy with it. And I'm like, because we stopped halfway through Strand of Thousands to go play Starfinder for a while. We're going to go back to it soon. If I can go back to them in Strand of Thousands with dating sim rules ready to rumble for part 2, oh my god.
They might faint.
I'm so excited. They're going to love it. But yeah, that's the relationship rules. I'm really excited for Mike's take on it because, I mean, look, Michael working on a Core Plus book is a long time coming, and finally,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Michael kind of just proved that he was capable of pulling off the work, so it just made sense to pull it in. But Michael isn't the last name on the list. We do have one more, and it is a returning author who has quite a few Paizo credits to their name. As well as credits with quite a few different publishing companies. So dare we tease the drum roll for... I wonder if chat's going to be able to guess who it is. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. Anyone? No, not Sayer. Good guess, though. It is another Magic Plus author, but it is not Sayer. Nope, not Sifter, but... another member of Arcane Mark. That should narrow it down. Who thinks they can get it now? Linda, that's
Linda,
right.
Correct.
Linda Zayas Palmer has agreed to come back again, and Linda's going to be writing some combat alternatives, some different styles of encounters. Derry, why don't you talk about your vision with like what you're looking for here with the alternate encounter rules? Like, what was the main thinking behind how to approach these?
Sure. So a little I want to say 6-7 months ago, I started playing in Lancer for the first time, and I really liked how it seemed to kind of solve a couple of the issues. Not so much the things that you kind of like were known to have trouble with in Pathfinder. For example, the boss rules, also very inspired by how Lancer does stuff, with some other things dropped in to make it extra epic. But one of the things I really, really, really liked in Lancer was that the combat is never, well, sometimes, but mostly it is never kill the enemies until they are dead. Very frequently, enemies continue coming in as combat progresses. So you can wipe out some weak guys, but after a while, they're gonna send in more and more, and you have to have some way to win the combat without just kill all of them, right? So some of the options were, for example, I guess the best way of putting it is escort. If anyone has ever played Team Fortress or Overwatch or any of those games where you have a payload, and the point is you have to get this thing from point A to point B, and there will be bad guys who are trying to stop you, and you have this many rounds to get the payload, or maybe it's a person, maybe it's a wagon. How does that work? How are the rules for that looking? Right. Another
Yeah.
option might be, I think it was ritual, which was, hey, the bad guys are doing a bad thing, and in 8 rounds we'll say, the world ends. Sorry, guys, you lost. Um, then you have you start like maybe here in the bottom corner of the map, and then there's a load of obstacles all the way, and then in the top corner you have a thing happening, right? You have to get there and disrupt it within this many rounds or game over. And now, obviously, this is just what I handed over to Linda. All of it could be wiped out, and that may be even for the best because Linda has incredible, incredible ideas, and I really am excited to see their take on it. So we'll see how it looks
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I think Linda, honestly, given how many encounters Linda's probably designed over a very lengthy career,
Yeah.
I've no doubt that we're going to get some pretty cool alternate encounter
Mm-hmm.
types in the turnover. And we loved working with Linda for Magic Plus, Bing Bang Boom. For those of you that liked the dynamic spell sage and all the new dynamic spells, that was top to bottom. Linda crushed that. We were like, thank you. Like it practically got rubber stamped through.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was very cool to see that all come to light. And we're very excited to see like kind of how the alternate encounter setup works. And we I don't think we could have found a more perfect person to take it on. So, yeah, it's kind of we're waiting with bated breath till we get it. But we're excited. We're excited for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that is all of us. That is the whole team. That is our six for Adventures Plus. Me and Derry, and then our
Mm-hmm.
our our four authors. But I mean, we think we have a good team. We're excited about the
Mm-hmm.
book. We think we're going to deliver for you guys. We usually do. I
I
think
think
so
so at this
anyway.
point. I don't think we've ever failed, so keep it going.
Definitely. Yeah, I would never say we've failed. Maybe we've missed for some people, but I'm proud of where we
Nah,
are.
we've
But
done screw.
yeah,
uh,
dissenters as they are.
but I mean, some people probably think they can do better than us, Tony. Don't you think?
Hey, you want to know what? And the only way to know whether or not you can do better than us is to read our material and then try it yourself. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
hey, like,
there might be another way they can prove that they're as good as us.
oh, that's true. I had forgotten
Do we
about
want?
that. I mean, what do you? Yep, I think maybe it's
Well,
time to announce the big secret.
sure. Well, everyone, you think you're hot shit, don't you? I'm looking at you. You in your chair, sitting back and waiting for Team Plus to release their next book. You think you're hot stuff. Well, then why don't you prove it to us in the tourney of the Tatsilworm? The tourney of the Tatsilworm. Everyone knows. Then this is coming from our mascot, Tommy the Tatsilworm. Everyone knows that Tatzelworms are the best dragons. Do you think there's a better dragon out there? Do you think there are adventurers capable of slaying a Tatzelworm? I don't believe it even for a moment. You'll simply have to show Tommy the Tatzelworm what you're made of. And that is. Oh, yes. Hi. Okay, I clicked the right button. That is the announcement of our first writing competition.
Yay! And to give our team proper credit here, this was actually this was led by the moderation team. There Jelly, Opmi, and Dom have been kind of the primary voices, I would say, in trying to get this move forward. And after I think they ran a homebrew jam previously that got a lot of really cool ideas put together. You guys, we saw Fan Plus put together hybrid class subclasses, which were really cool, and it kind of got so much participation that Derry and I were just talking. We are like, if you guys just like wanted to do something a little bit bigger, we could probably put a bit of Team Plus support behind it. So we could try to put something together where it's a book and maybe the competition winners go in that book. They get a percentage of the sales of said book. And then Team Plus helps with art, VTT support, and layout and some editing. So, for those of you that are maybe acquainted with RPG Superstar, we're not going to be doing exactly the same thing. We're going to be putting our own spin on it. It's not going to be strict to monsters. We've got ideas for what we're going to be doing with the competition, and we'll be posting rules and announcing things with a lot more detail down the line. But you can all be free and clear to know that we are doing a homebrew competition in the future where people can actively participate as first time, never been published people, to try to get published in a Team Plus Presents book. And at the very least, if you win, you will get some cuts of the sales, and you'll have a piece of material that you can use in your foundry, in your path builder, and at your table, hopefully. So we're really excited for that. We saw some really good ideas with the last homebrew jam, so we feel like if we raise the stakes a little bit, maybe you people will come in and participate in this competition and have a little bit of fun and maybe get their name out there and do something really cool, with a book that can maybe, they can be proud to put their name on. Now I will tell you, just like RPG Superstar, there will be a limit for some of you that are professionals that fall under the professional qualifier for the tournament. We have thought of that. Some of you are a little, if you're published with Paizo under a couple of books, you're not going to be able to participate in the non-professional category for homebrew publishing with this project. But we're offering a professional track, which will be a lot more competitive. There'll be less winners, less people that make it in, for the people that have a little, for some of the professionals who want to flex themselves. And Derry and I will take a little bit of a closer hand with some of those entries, as opposed to maybe the wider competition itself. But yeah, we're excited. It's still shaping, and we're kind of letting Jelly, Obmi, and Dom kind of take the reins on how they want to set up the competition. But this might even be handled through the Team Plus website. I've already contacted the developer to try to integrate things. So we're looking at maybe getting a similar scribe submission situation as what RPG Superstar had for their competition. So we'll just have to stay tuned for what's to come. But the plan is to do like a fun homebrew competition with Fan Plus, and to give you guys an opportunity to try to do something yourselves, because I see so many of you do really talented, creative ideas, but then you say things like, I don't know how to publish in Infinity, and I don't know if I should really do that. Well, now the barrier for entry couldn't be lower. All you have to do is win. That's which maybe that's not easier said than done, but I have faith in quite a few of you, so I'm very excited.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. Like, genuinely, I remember looking through the hybrid class stuff and being like, damn it, this is amazing. There's some really good content out here. And that is very much so why we decided we wanted to do Tourney of the Tatzelworm, which will be, you can create dragons, but more so stuff we're thinking of is like dragon-themed subclasses, dragon-themed items, we'll have more about what you can make later. But like start ideating, what's a dragon thing I like that I'd like to write about, and chances are you will be able to incorporate that in some way.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't catch the theme, dragons is the theme. The mod team can scold us later but we like to reward people that participate in Stream Plus a little extra. So I think that dragons isn't a huge leg up. But for those watching, you can start ideating a little bit early. But we're hopeful to present the competition to you in the near future. Judges, we have a list. We're finalizing the way that the judging will work. I will say that we are strongly considering a way for there to be judges that have a little bit more experience in the tabletop publishing world to be part of the process, but also to give what we love to do normally, which is to give Fan Plus a voice. So there will be some amount of community involvement and some amount of professional judging involved, and we'll detail that at a later time. For now, because I don't want to spoil too much. I know the moderation team's still ironing out some details, but that's probably what you can expect. So we are excited for that. It's a good question. Thanks for asking. And since we're kind of at the end of the stream, we've done a major announcement. I mean, Derry, what do you say we turn it over for a little Q&A before we dip out of here? Because we did have a hard stop at 10 o'clock, so we got a little bit of time left. We might cut it early, but
Yeah,
we'll
I
turn it
think we
over
can
to
give
you
some
guys.
people chances to ask questions now. Go ahead, go for it all. Ask away, and we shall answer.
Yep. Anything is allowed. Go for
I'll take a
questions.
question that was just asked, and was, I don't suppose the recent Dracodex release inspired this little. That was definitely a big reason as to
Yeah.
why we chose Dragon specifically, was people were really into Draconic Codex. And I mean, it's peak, so I don't blame you. Draconic Codex, I think, is one of the most fun books that Paizo's ever put out. I've always wanted a dragon book. So being able to do that kind of stuff, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited to see more dragon stuff, especially if considering how Draconic Codex turned out. Another question. I'm pulling up the details on this.
Yeah, for those just listening, the question was, I'm curious, what were the runner-ups to Alchemist when the class poll was done?
And I'm
It's a
pulling that
great
up
question.
in announcements. Now, I do expect these to kind of be shaken up this time around.
So I
Because,
would wager as well.
yeah, it's not that I want to work on Psychics Plus most, but I have a very strong feeling, um,
It's at least going to move up in the ranks, that's
for
for sure.
sure.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't placing higher, because I think when we did the first rank choice vote, it was around the time the Dark Archive had come out, and I distinctly remember Psychic being dead last, like at that time. So my how the tables have turned is all I will say. Like was a bit of a turnaround. Did you end up
um,
finding the results?
yes, I'm surprised by this. The runner-up was Druids Plus.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, that
Oh,
is
wow.
a bit of a surprise. Druids Plus was second, and Champions Plus was third.
I do
Um,
remember Champions always being in the top running. That is,
I feel Druids being so high is because I had been pushing a lot for it, because that was the one I was supporting, and I guess people were like, "We have to do it to make Derry happy. Don't do that. Follow your heart. You are smarter than I am." But Druids was what I was supporting because I had like some fun ideas for it at the time, and I still do. But I'm always happy with whatever wins. Druids and Champions were both ones I would have been excited about, but I'm also very pleased to be doing Alchemists now.
yeah. I think God, Alchemist, the one that kept coming back up like bad breakfast. Like it was, we took it out of the vote because they announced the remaster for it, the first remaster for it, or the update, and then it won the vote again. But then Paizo said they were remastering it again, so then we did Magus Plus instead of Alchemist Plus for that vote because it was the runners up, and then it won again when it finally came back into the vote after the remaster. So, and now that we're in it, I feel like it's in a seeing all the building blocks we have to work with. I'm pretty excited with what we're going to be able to do with it now. It would have been a nightmare to have to remaster that book, though. I'll say thank God they told us, because that would have been a rough. If you thought Oracles was bad, I feel like it would have been really tough to have to try to do that one and
No,
before
I
and
mean, like,
after.
if you look at the stuff that was written beforehand in our first pass of Alchemist Plus, there was quite a few pre-master monsters that were made into Battle Monstrosities that we couldn't have used. You know, although
Yeah, that is.
we did predict vials. We were thinking about having alchemical cantrips, which were bombs that didn't require
I do remember that. Yeah,
yeah,
we talked about
reagents.
that.
We accidentally did come up with the idea first, and then Paizo did it right. So we didn't get any heat for it, which is great. Um,
I will. I'll take the question on Trickster and Vessel. So Are Trickster and Vessel going to come pre-packed with ions, or do we need Vessels Plus and slash Tricksters Plus? We are going to be doing that only for if those two classes get expanded. So they will be
Mm,
added to the future votes. We do not have the ability to combine a classes plus for both classes
mhm.
and put them in Adventures Plus. We wouldn't have room for all the other content.
Yeah.
Um, but incentive for you all to potentially get after if you do like those classes. We will definitely be happy to revisit them in a plus book for sure. That sounds
Mhm.
like a lot of fun for us.
Another question is about the price for the Patreon compilation books. Whether it'll be $5 for a single year stuff or $5 for all 3 years. It's probably going to be the former. It's probably going to be $5 for a single year's book because that is still going to be a good few illustrations, a good few, what's the word?
The
VTT
VTT
stuff,
path, yeah,
we are probably like we may be like looking at changing prices for stuff for the other books. It's never a fun discussion to have, but we have like talked about maybe figuring that out at some point. But that's kind of all in the air. We're not looking at that right now. The point is that we are going to make sure that the Patreon compilations will always be a cheap and easy way to get into the Team Plus stuff. So $5, I think, for what is essentially going to be like at least a dozen subclasses, sometimes maybe even more. I think actually it would be maybe 16 subclasses per book.
yeah, because we do 4 on the first jump,
Yeah,
right?
four in the first
So
month and
yeah,
then 12 afterwards. So that's not too
right,
shabby, I think, for $5. But like I said, if you want it for cheaper, joining the Patreon, there will be discount links for the Patreon books. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can get them slightly cheaper, not like 50% off necessarily, but enough that it makes a dent. We'll see. We're figuring out
yeah.
the exacts. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, fam, like that we're always pricing things as cheap and affordable as we can while still making it possible to continue to support you all in the way that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wouldn't be able to do VTTs at all if we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the support that we have, but we price our stuff accordingly to try to make sure that you get as much bang for your buck. So that $5 is going to get you all of the long-term support you can typically expect from us. Our VTT team is fantastic about going in and maintaining bugs. We make sure that they're, properly compensated when they do have to go in and do a whole lot of bug creation or bug fixing and stuff like that. So, hopefully, the quality and the long-term support that we give with our products helps you guys justify the costs. We don't want it if it was up to us and capitalism doesn't exist, you just get the books for free and we do this
Yep.
for fun and nobody would care. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, to stay in business, we gotta keep moving the needle as much as we can,
Yeah.
when we can. So that's how it goes. I'll answer Rico's question, which is slightly backhanded. Why is Magus a singular of the class and all the other class books use plural? The answer is simple. It's because it's easy to search Magus and have that book come up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why. And we didn't want to call it Magus's. And as someone else points out, Magi
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get a hit when someone searches Magus. So that's why it's not complicated. You can make a case to Derry if you want to change it, but
No,
I
I
doubt
think
it.
I think I was the one to say, why don't we just use magus as a plural, like 5 magus? It's not it's not correct, but it'll have
Yeah,
to do.
it's like deer. How do
Yeah,
they know? They don't
yeah, we
know.
don't
Like,
know. Yeah.
yeah. At Tony, what is your favorite attribute? Tarlock is baiting me. As most of you in the Team Plus server know, I would delete attributes if I could. I think they suck. I
I
wish they didn't exist.
I did a hard question in Dice to Roll a little while ago where I floated the deletion of attributes to my players, and they didn't get it. And I was like, "You don't understand. Skills don't need it. They're just here to make things more complicated, but they don't need to be here."
They're holding us back. They're holding us
Oh.
back. We could have really, really smart fighters. We could have non-charismatic thaumaturges. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so much potential. Anyway, so
Adventures Plus, we reworked the amount of the entire game, breaking it down to its bare essentials. That would be way too much work. Don't listen to me.
we did consider it. We did consider, like, is that a system that we can do? And realistically, I don't think that it's one that could be done well. If we had tried to do it, I think it would be something that would require the amount of grace and time as the essence system. And quite frankly, the Essence system was a highly demanded alternative to Vancian spell slot casting. And I don't even know if anybody agrees with us on the attribute thing. Maybe you all will someday, but it seems
We just
pretty
have to keep
mixed. I think,
convincing them.
yeah, it's a slow process. Every now and then we'll convert somebody to the side of attributes should die, but it is not a common occurrence. Attributes plus win. Never. Right after Monks plus. No, I'm just kidding.
The more attributes
Um,
variant is so funny to me. Yeah, to be a thaumaturge, you have to choose several skills, and I feel that's bringing back skill points.
yeah, no, a little bit. A teensy, yeah, a little bit actually. Like from PF1 for sure. And 3.5. That's a good
I
point.
miss skill points to an extent. I don't think we're putting them in Adventures Plus, but I missed them.
Yeah, I liked the ability that it gave you to kind of like sprinkle things around, but Pathfinder you don't second edition at least, you don't super have the luxury to be able to spread yourself that thin. I feel
Yeah,
like you kind of have to go all or nothing on the skill to get the most out of it, but um yeah,
I feel
hindsight or
ideal version of
history, I
Pathfinder
guess.
2e has attributes like Disco Elysium, where they each talk to you and tell you how to be a communist.
I like that.
Anyway, do we have any more questions? We're
Anyway,
slowly starting to run out of time, so now get them in before we head out.
yep, we'll give you guys I guess 30 more seconds to smash the keyboard.
Yeah. Seeing if there's anything that we missed.
Yeah, maybe check the previous. We did
Are
give them a lot
are you
today.
both
Maybe they're
hydrated?
satisfied.
You may have seen this briefly. I got this when I went to the States for a month last in December, and I'm so pleased with this. It's an extreme gulp from 7-Eleven, I think from the 90s. And you know what? God damn, it keeps me hydrated.
Oh, are you happy? Not touching that one. Yes, sure. Are
I
you
mean,
both hydrated?
I think that's actually a good place for me to say thank you to everyone, by the way. And this is maybe a little more serious, but thank you to everyone who supported with my very bad, no good January. I posted about it in the announcements a couple of times, where we had kind of like a financial crisis because my accountant is perhaps the most ridiculous person who ever existed. He wakes up every morning, puts on two socks, and then puts on the clown shoes. Anyway, point is, I just today was able to get the money and paid off all the £8,000 in taxes, so over $10,000, which had been kind of messed up by multiple years of him completely screwing up my accounts. And I still have all the money needed to pay for my fiance's visa in July. So, yes, thank you all very much. I was not happy earlier in the week, and I'm very happy now. I also passed 2 kidney stones, which, just terrible timing.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
as if
hydrated
you could,
now.
as if you couldn't have any more bad luck. That was
They're like,
another
hey,
scare for us.
look, I know now is not a good time, but
Yeah,
I'm just going to make you suffer a little bit.
I didn't tell you that it was my birthday, and you gave me a hard time, and then like a week later, you were like, "So I was in the ER," and I was like, "And you didn't tell me?"
It
Like,
was,
okay,
I told you the day after. I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm
that's
good
fair.
now,
That's
but
fair. I guess it's better to know it after because I would have
yeah.
been worried before.
If I'd
So
been like,
okay,
hey, man,
I'm
I'm in
gonna.
the ER and I don't know what's happening, it would have been bad,
Yeah,
but.
no, yeah, that's much better. All right, I'm gonna speed run the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of questions.
Sure.
A few. So, what's your favorite homebrew book on PEI that isn't yours? I'm not gonna answer that question. PI has a lot of really great authors. I would recommend anybody that's worked with us in a book is great. EOG has some really good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Connor has great stuff. The Sorcerer Bloodline by John on the top 10 right now. Great. Michael Haas does great work.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of great work on there. Lion and Valor, who are or Leon. I don't know. I think
It's
Lion
fine. I think
Wolf
it's
likes
fine.
to Lion. Well, Wolf likes to troll me, so I never really know. They're putting out great books right now. They just put out one with bards that was like Bound to Battle Bards, I think was what it was called. It was fantastic. So stay on Infinite. You have nothing but really great creators on there. They're putting out lots of really good stuff, and thankfully, a lot of them try to. We do a lot of cross collaboration with people, and they're thankful enough to do, or they're gracious enough to do some non-star content in their stuff. If you could personally pick a third class for Adventures Plus, I'll keep mine short and sweet. I would have picked Merchant. I did think that class had potential. People disagreed, but I thought it was cool.
So controversial. I would have also picked Merchant. It's just, I get it. I understand. Nobody wants to play the
I get it
capitalist,
too.
but it's such a fun. One day, maybe that's what I should do. One day, I want to make a video game where you are a merchant in a fantasy world, and that's your whole thing. I feel like there's a lot of stuff
That
you
has
can do
potential.
there. Yeah.
That has potential.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be more streams like this in the future? Absolutely. We were talking about trying to get on a more consistent basis. I don't want to make promises. I think we've talked about like once a quarter. At the very least, I think we're going to try to keep up the once every 6 months at least that we're doing
Yeah,
right now.
that's
But
the minimum.
we'd like to do more. That's the minimum we'd like to do. Any ideas for what you want to do for Necromancer and Runesmith when Impossible Magic is released? We don't like to set our sights on anything that's not firm. So, and that was why we were so skittish when it was like, do you want to work on this class and it's being remastered next, with the core books that got done. So we probably won't look too closely at those two classes until they're fully out there and they're a little bit more rigid for us to look at.
Yeah, we usually like to give it a little bit of time as well. Like I would feel scared
true.
going into to Commander or into Guardian, but Exemplar or Animus now I feel confident going into.
Weren't those hybrid classes supposed to be mentioned on the blog? I think that was up to the Jam team, so you'll have to yell at Opmian and Jelly about that one. I think they have blog rights, so if they want to write one up, they absolutely can. Have you considered selling in your own site? You practically own the PFI bestsellers. Boy, howdy, would we love to do that. We'd certainly love to not have to share the royalties with DriveThruRPG and Paizo, but unfortunately, it would be super illegal for us to put it on our site.
Yeah,
if you want to support us directly, Patreon. That's the way to help support us directly if you want to do that.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, without DriveThru, like without Pathfinder Infinite as a whole, we're not going to be able to use any Paizo lore, Golarion lore specifically, which is quite important to a number of the books that we have. And yes, we could have done versions of them without, but because we published them on Pathfinder Infinite, at this point, the choice would be, hey, either sell them all into one place, which I think we're at the moment that's what works best for us, or start selling half of them on Pathfinder Infinite and half of them elsewhere, which it gets a little messy, and we both have working relationships with Paizo and DriveThruRPG at this point, and I feel like if we went, hey guys, can we break the rules and go elsewhere, they'd be like, dude,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And let's be real, like we're also, we're you're right. We own the popular wheel. We don't make them an insignificant amount of money, so I don't think they want us to leave either. So, and they've tried to accommodate us on a bunch of other fronts. DriveThru did Team Plus Day at one point for us, which was a really cool thing that they did about a year ago. So, we're trying to, don't get me wrong, we're looking at long-term plays in terms of like Team Plus being able to kind of get out there on its own and start being able to sell things that we own a little more completely, and maybe aren't quite as bound by the requirements of where we're selling our stuff. But I think for now, for the foreseeable future, you can expect to find us on Pathfinder Infinite, and it is our home. So
yes. Is there anything else?
Arrived just in time, it seems. Are we talking about Adventure Plus now? I am so sorry, Neon. You are going to have to rewatch the stream because I will say I think that's our last.
Yeah, I think so
last
too.
Question.
The VOD will be going up, and we're actually going to make. We're going to save it now because we've had too many VODs eaten by the void.
Oh please. Let's get it on the YouTube so somebody can catch it later. For those of you that did not get to watch the stream tonight.
But I think that's a good place to wrap it up, right?
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for coming today. This was a lot of fun. Everybody that stayed through the whole thing, you're awesome. I think at one point we had like 50 or 60 people in
Yeah, it was
here, and it's always
amazing.
great to get these announcements out. Yeah. Always love the support we get from you all, and I know some of you had to sleep and couldn't make it. We had several people tell us that when the stream got announced, but we're grateful for everybody.
Just do
Derry,
like
I know
me and
you.
stay up
Why
till
don't you
3 a.m. It's fine.
yeah. Why don't you close us
Okay.
out, Derry?
Yeah, that's it. I think that's where we're going to call it. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much for checking out. We will have more streams in the hopefully nearer than 6 months away future. And you can expect, just one last reminder, you can expect to find 4 brand new Gothic Horror subclasses on the Team Plus Patreon. That's patreon.com/Team Plus. That also gets you access to the Plus test, which right now will give you Alchemist Plus content and maybe soon enough other content, from the stuff we've been talking about today, Shining Kingdoms, adventures, etc., etc. So check out patreon.com/Team Plus, and that should hopefully get you some access to some other stuff. And to close us out, one last look at our friend Tommy the Tatzelworm, and reminder to keep an ear close to the ground for when we return with Tourney of the Tatzelworm, where you might be able to be in a Team Plus book where you have your own draconic themed content very soon. Thank you all very much, and fellas, have a lovely evening. Bye!